Hi, and thank you for tuning into this very special video. I'm tempted to drag on an intro and build up the anticipation and act like it's a huge surprise who I'm interviewing, but I'm guessing you already saw the thumbnail and the title, so I'm just going to give a warm welcome. I'm so happy to have you on my channel again, Jordan Lozada.
Thank you. This was much needed for this time and space that we're in right now. And it felt so aligned to do this video with you especially.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's been so long since we've sat down on camera together and talked about the issues. And in the past year, we've both learned so much more than what we knew the last time we spoke about the cult that we left. And their attacks against us have been enormous, but I feel like several attacks, yeah. But I think the danger that people are in now who are still brainwashed and following the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda, and like the hardcore measures they're taking to recruit more people in make it so that we kind of can't stop talking about them. Even if they keep attacking us, it's important to keep warning others.
A whole bunch of new wave of information, which is even new to me.
Yeah.
Very surprising. I had to hold back tears from some of the stuff that I'm hearing, which involved the children there and everyone that is still there at one point in time, where I saw them as family members. So to hear these stories, things that these children and young adults had to do in from the instruction of Poops, and Poops is what we call Nithyananda.
Yeah.
It was just heartbreaking. It was so heartbreaking to hear. And to hear what's going on now, that they're getting their visas ready to go fly to wherever he is, like that to me is something that we have to stop, because he's doing all of these acts of abuse to everyone, and it's just very heartbreaking to see all of my friends still there. So much years is just passing them away, and so much opportunities in life is being closed off to them.
Yeah.
And you could even also say this yourself, after we left the cult, so much life has opened up for us.
True.
And I felt like I tapped into true spirituality after I left.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I can remember and kind of relate to what the current followers are going through, where they feel like their entire spiritual identity and their entire livelihood is built around Nithyananda Sangha. Like, they don't understand that it's possible to meditate outside of holding the vision of that fraud in their inner space or connecting with the deities as per his instruction. But I love how you worded it, that true spirituality really opens up when you leave that cult. It's like you have to drop all the conditioning of how you have to connect and all the dogma. And it's just sad that the people who are living it, they are worked 24/7 with so much stress and so much pressure and so much unreachable goals that they don't have a moment to stop and think, do I feel better doing these practices than I did before I came here? Or am I fulfilled in my seeking? Do I really feel that this resonates? And like, do you remember, Jordan, he would tell us that any doubt that we had about him or any doubt we had in the processes was SDHD, self-doubt, self-hatred, and self-denial.
Yeah, self-hatred, self-denial.
So like any time.
Still know it.
Yes, exactly. We all know that jargon probably forever. But he would systematically turn off our own personal intuition and our personal divine connections by making us feel like if we questioned him, we were hating ourselves or we were ruining our lives. And it's kind of amazing that so many of us have been able to get out. Like, on the flip side,
it's a miracle.
Absolutely.
Straight up miracle.
Straight up miracle. The amount of mind control, and
if like I told you the other day, if I was a Spanish speaker, if I spoke Spanish, I could be trapped there still
Yeah.
because I was called, right? I was called by Maya Natma from Ecuador,
Hmm.
and she asked if I spoke Spanish. If I would have said yes, I spoke Spanish, I would have been on a flight that night to go to where he was at.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people stuck there with
Yeah.
him and just trapped.
True.
They're just trapped.
Yeah, you and me both. Like I got the call from Ranjita and she asked me, how soon can I fly? And at that time, I was a fully surrendered disciple living in the Bididi ashram. So I felt my life
Mm-hmm.
was in their hands. I'm ready to fly that moment if they asked me to. And the one thing that saved me was she asked, how fluent are you in Spanish? Do you only speak it or can you also read and write? And I told her
Oh, wow.
I'm not fluent in speaking or writing Spanish. And then I heard Fuchs, aka Nithyananda, in the background, and he was arguing with her, saying, no, 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 she speaks Spanish. She did the translation once in the hall for IA participants. And I had to jump in and say, like, no, I did the French translation, but I never did
Mm-hmm.
Spanish translation. And similarly to you, like if I had told them that I spoke Spanish fluently, I would have been on a plane to Ecuador that night. So I feel like, I mean, as much as I don't want to say it's a boon not to speak a second language or a third language, like we got lucky. But
Mm-hmm.
people like Vanessa Pena, who is called,
Yoga Swami.
yeah, people like Rodrigo, I heard he was there in Ecuador. Basically anybody in that cult who spoke Spanish. We haven't seen any social media activity from them in going on 3 years now, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
But it's so nice to see that people are leaving. They're tapping into their inner voice. That is saying all this stuff to them to wake up, and that's something that I had. Even while being there, seeing all the red flags, um, I stopped ignoring that inner compass inside me that was telling me to get out of there.
yeah.
And I had help from from Steven,
Mhm.
and he's the one that single-handedly woke me up out of there.
That's incredible.
And it's just all these divine things that happened to me while I was there, for me to be deprogrammed while a sannyas, while in Kavi. And I had a lot of the deprogramming happen while I was there. And I remember just like looking around, like scared, like, fuck, I got to get out of here. I
Yeah.
have to get out of here right away with no money. My family didn't want to give it to me because I got myself there. I should be able to get myself out. And they didn't know the measures that I was in.
Yeah.
And Stephen helped me out. I had a handful of people that gave me money to catch a flight out of Gujarat.
Ooh,
I remember my last final week there. I was so scared, thinking I wasn't going to be able to raise the money to get out of there.
wow.
And not only that, just constantly being blasted, yelled at by the higher ups there.
Yeah.
And within my last month there, I was just getting yelled at every day, and I saw a handful of beatings with my own eyes being done on young adults and children.
Oh my God.
At the same time, Steven is telling me that it's a freaking cult.
Yeah. Wow.
And I didn't necessarily run away because I had approval, but I only told my lead, and I told my lead that I was going. I didn't say goodbye to anyone. I just snuck out of there.
Wow.
Hmm.
So, one thing that's come to our awareness since the last video we made together is that there are so many people currently there brainwashed either in the Gurukul or as Adinavasis or in the Sannyas order, and they're watching our videos secretly because
Hmm.
they want to understand what's going on. And even if they don't believe us, they might have that same inner voice that you referred to saying, get yourself out of there.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, like, if you're watching this now, we love you, we care about you. It doesn't matter if you've spread lies and rumors and terrible defamatory false accusations against us. We are here for you. And we want you to wake up and get out of that cult. And if
Mm-hmm.
Jordan could escape Gujarat with no money, no help from his family, and basically fear that he would be held back, you can get out too. And there is a support system here for you if you want to escape that cult. Um, Jordan, what would you say, for example, to parents or relatives of people who are currently following Nithyananda?
um, don't ignore your gut instinct, intuition, your heart. Don't ignore that. Your body, your cells, all of your senses are guiding you. You have spiritual guides all around you, including your higher self, that is constantly always there to support you and guide you. And I trust that you, as in the people that are still supporting him and still following him, you are getting these very subtle messages. It could be in your own voice, or it's coming as feelings, heart language, or whatever that is telling you, take a look at what is really going on. Do not turn the blind eye.
Mm.
Sarah and I have turned the blind eye for many years, and it just came to a point in time where the pain was unbearable,
Yeah.
pain of the soul. And I tell you, like, I remember seeing this post a while back, and it was so sad to see. And it was a post that said, "You cannot connect to Hindu deities without having guru," which is utter nonsense.
Wow.
I mean, like my devotion and my bhakti to Shiva, to Devi, to any deity that I choose inside Hinduism and without, just connecting to spirit, to divine, has like it was like the filter just got lifted from my eyes, and it's like a whole another world opened up. And being able to connect to Shiva in such a pure way without having the brainwashing and all the conditioning, and because Poops has really installed so much toxic brainwashing into our minds, into our souls, and that is something that we are striving very hard to wake people up to with love. um, the fact that everyone there is under a spell,
Yeah.
and people have a hard time to differentiate the good and the bad, you know, like the good is like the bait, it's the hook to bring you in, and then once you're in, he does all of the brainwashing to you after you are fully surrendered to him,
Mhm.
and that's the trap.
Yeah, so that was really beautifully said, Jordan. And I think it's so important for people who are still there to understand that when they leave the guru, they're not actually leaving the guru, they're leaving somebody who is a fraudster, who has had them trapped and convinced them that he's the guru. And for me personally, like the biggest difficulty that I went through after leaving the cult was about 5 or 6 months of terror where I felt like I would be cursed or my life would be destroyed
Mm,
because we were fed the line that if you leave him or if you speak against him or if you cherish even just an ill feeling
mm,
towards him, you're committing a sin called Guru
pain.
Droha. And now I understand, having consulted with actual pujaris and Vedic scholars, that Guru Droha doesn't count if your guru abused you. And that in fact he has done Chela Droha, like he was the one who was abusing his disciples, abusing the power
Yeah.
and authority. And so, for example, by calling himself a sannyasi and claiming to be celibate and then sexually assaulting us, um, by claiming to be ahimsa and nonviolent and then ordering for people to get beaten. Um, and even lies like telling us that all the milk that was served in the Odinum came from the Goshala, when in reality they were
Mhm.
buying packet milk from big dairy industries. Like,
All of the riches and materialism that he's infatuated with. Like the rudraksha dipped in gold, the crowns, the rings. Like he would have a 5 finger ring.
Oh my.
All of these things. I remember Bavia. He was at the Audinum test driving a Benz. Like he had two Mercedes Benz there, and I asked him, why are these here? Like you're in the driver's seat driving this? Those are nice cars. He was like, yeah, I'm test driving it for Swamiji. Like he wants a luxury car. He
Yeah,
never bought it. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with these things, but it's like if you claim that you're a sannyas and you are teaching being being like a minimalist and always speaking the truth and living the truth. He didn't do either of those things. He wasn't celibate. He wasn't a minimalist. He was lying straight to our face. He was lying to the world in live satsang over and over and over on
hmm,
repeat.
yeah.
And what's the other one? There's another vow of sannyas. That's 3.
There's
Uh,
Aparija,
ahimsa. Ahimsa.
Ahimsa.
Definitely not ahimsa.
No,
Definitely not.
yeah,
Yeah.
there were five. Like
There were 5.
the living with a minimal you covered. Asteya,
Sakya.
non-stealing. And look at all the land he grabbed in India. Like there are cases we didn't even know about when we were there of him taking over people's inherited land and then sending
Yeah.
teams of people to fight the locals so he could keep
I
that
mean,
cotton land.
I'm going to get right into something very heavy. Would you consider the prostitution being a form of stealing?
Absolutely, yeah,
Sending out these girls to have sex with these businessmen for land?
right. I'm glad you
Because
brought
that's not rightfully his. That land is not rightfully his.
no.
Like, that's one action where he breaks all of the sannyas vows and even beyond that.
Yeah. And
And this news that I heard from you recently, which I'll let you break down. This was something that I literally had to hold back tears, and my heart was crushed when I heard this, which you are about to explain, which you would do like a much better job. But there's been like new stuff that I heard was just absolutely crazy, and you should definitely tell the viewers
yeah,
what you told me.
it's heavy. Like I mean, I teared up every time somebody who was there told me about this. I always kind of wondered, are they trying to feed me um sensationalist information so they'll make a video about it and blow it up and then make myself look like an extremist or a liar. Like I've actually heard about this even as far as 2 years ago with um, one of the young girls who had been in Gurukul, who I told you about, Jordan. I didn't tell my viewers about this. But among the Rudra Kanya team, which were the young women in the cult who were described as reviving the Vedagamic arts, like the temple dance, the dressing, the jewelry, the makeup styles, speaking, and music. This
Mm-hmm.
particular team of girls, we all thought of them as being kind of like geishas, like the artists of the.
Chase. Yeah.
So, what came as a huge shock was that among that group there were select individuals, and I'm not going to name any names because as far as I know they're all still in the organization and I don't want to shame them or call them out. Like they're following,
Endanger their life even.
absolutely, they're doing what they think they have to do as a spiritual duty. But they had been sent, trafficked to wealthy businessmen in order to seduce them and perform sexual favors in exchange for land and money donations. So when we talk about like the new information that's come to us since the last video we made, it's like we knew that the fraud who calls himself Nithyananda had lust. We knew that for a fact because he attempted molestation on both of us and he made his intentions clear in private messages and by fondling my chest once or by forcing Jordan's hand where Jordan didn't want to put it while giving him a massage. Like we already knew that he wasn't celibate, but we did not know that he was literally pimping out his female disciples for his own materialistic gains. And You know
And it
what?
even gets worse from that. From
It gets
there, it gets
worse.
worse.
It gets
It's
worse.
like Sarah, like when I thought it couldn't get any more dark, when I thought it couldn't get worse than what I already know, it did. And this is going to be very new and surprising, heartbreaking for people that are watching this.
Yeah.
And we're telling you this because you have to know the truth.
Yeah.
If like if this is what it takes for you to wake up and come back to your senses, come back to yourself, come back to your soul, and so be it. You know, we have to share this information.
Yeah.
You know, we're holding on to this truth, and it doesn't even feel good for me to just keep it in. You
No,
know, it's like
absolutely. Um, Part of it is that we knew that he was sexually active with adult members of the organization, but a new piece of information is that he had private message groups in Facebook where he would demand nude photos from underage girls. Um, the parents of one of those underage girls have already been extremely publicly active, pressing charges of kidnapping for the girl who got trafficked, out of India to Nepal and from Nepal to
and
um,
we both seen the screenshots of these
we've
messages
both
too.
seen screenshots, yeah. And she wasn't the only girl. Like the fact that her father is really outspoken in the Indian media doesn't mean he's the only father of a kid who this happened to. There are two girls who I know of for a fact who sent nude selfies to Nitty's inbox while they were 16 and 17. But for every two that we know about, I can't even begin to imagine how many more we don't know about. And if it happened to even one girl, that would have been one girl too many. But I have a feeling there are more, like things that we
Mm.
would see when we were there in his courtyard that were red flags, like Maud Vate taking underage girls and boys up to his bedroom in A10 and then sitting outside and waiting for the kids. Like no other adult went into the room to supervise what he was doing with
Yeah.
those kids. Um, I heard recently from a Gurukul boy who left that he had been raped by Nithyananda.
Oh shit.
I didn't push for details, so this may have happened after he turned 18. But even if he was 18, having grown up in the Gurukul school and been trained from childhood to see Niti as a father figure, an authority figure, a god figure, a guru figure, even if he was of legal age, he wasn't of sound mind. He was still under the undue influence of the cult mind control, telling him anything Nityananda asks you to do, you have to say yes because it's Guruva. And if you don't do
And
it,
so Poops is capable of having sex. He doesn't have the testosterone level
no,
that
about
of a 6 year old.
year old, yeah, whatever lie they had said, no, he's fully capable of an erection and highly,
I felt very, you know, the term he used to use, cheated. Like I really felt cheated, and I felt so let down when, because I believe that. I actually believe that he's like incapable of having sex.
yeah,
And then after doing what I did with him, and you know, that whole, clearly he that was a lie.
yeah.
And he's clearly able to be aroused. And after seeing also with my own eyes other sexual stuff happen
Mhm.
in his room with other male disciples, um, like I was like, wow, that, like, are you kidding me? Like that crushed me.
Yeah,
It was like beyond hurtful how someone has the audacity to lie to so many people that love him,
right.
that give up their life, that dump all of their life savings to him. That is that's demonic.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the way that he would slowly break us down to accept what he was doing. Like In my case, the first time he told me I was an incarnation of Devi was back in 2009 in the very first inner awakening program I took. And then between 2009 and 2016, when my sexual abuse took place, throughout all those years in between, my faith and my devotion in him grew because I always felt if he really was a rapist, like Arti Rao claims, if he really was sleeping with people the way, the media claims, he would have tried something with me by now. So, like from
Mm,
2009 to 2016, I also believed he was fully innocent, incapable of an erection, disinterested by sex, like evolved beyond gender. Um, so it really blindsided me when all of a sudden, like the very first time he hinted at something sexual was after I ran away from the Kumbh Mela in Ujjain and I came back to Canada.
wow.
He sent me an
Yeah.
inbox message in Facebook saying, "You will see me in your bed physically."
Oh
Like,
shit.
that night, I slept on the floor next to my bed because I thought, well, he's a sannyasi, so I guess that means he's going to land to give me a blessing.
Oh my
So I'd
god.
better not like be in the bed. I was that brainwashed. Like people,
You slept on the floor in your own room. Didn't even
yeah,
sleep on your bed.
no, I put the
Yeah.
Atma Murti, like the big cardboard cutout of him, I put
Oh
that
god.
propped up on like both of the pillows and I slept on the ground next to it. And like when people accuse us of being criminally involved or co-conspirators with him, saying that like we recruited people into the cult or that we were doing his dirty work. I think
Mm-hmm.
what they don't understand is that we're also his victims. It's not like we were all for him and wanted to build up his evil empire and then one day decided to move on with our
Mm-hmm.
lives. It's that we were 100% devoted, gave our life
Oh yeah.
savings. Yeah, I sold a business
Mhm.
and spent the entire.
I mean I came back to California
Mhm.
after leaving Gujarat with $0 to my name. I had nothing.
Yeah.
I had absolutely nothing. Like I had to restart my whole entire life. I had
Wow.
no phone, no car, no bank account. I didn't have my social security card. I had to get my birth certificate back. I had no driver's license.
Wow.
Yeah,
But you made it.
it was, I made it. And this is the thing. It's like people, if you're afraid to leave and you think that your life is going to be shit,
Mhm.
it's far from the truth.
Yeah.
It's far from the truth. There's so much sacredness waiting for you to embrace it that you cannot see because you're blinded by Poops' brainwashing that's just waiting for you. It's
Mhm.
just like waiting for you. And you're doing very well. I'm doing very well. There's others that we know of that left the cult that are doing very well. They're
Yeah.
healthy, they're mentally healthy, they're stable, they're deprogrammed, they're healing.
Mhm.
So people that are afraid that their life is going to be shit or their family will disown them, you know, that might be the truth. Your family may disown you, but it's like you have to get out of there for your safety and for your spiritual evolution, for your well-being as a whole.
Absolutely. Like when Jordan says for your safety, one of my biggest concerns is that Nithyananda has already told us a story that who knows whether this was actually a true story or not, but he told us a story that the Rudra Kanyas in a temple to Sadashiva were sitting around their murti one day when anti-Hindu elements came in and started insulting Shiva. And he told us on stage in a live satsang, this was back in 2018, he told us that the Rudra Kanyas couldn't stand to listen to anyone insult Shiva. So they threw themselves off the highest temple tower to their deaths because it was better to drop their bodies and join Shiva in Kailasa than to
Mm-hmm.
sit there and listen to somebody insult him. He then took such a dark turn
I
like that.
remember that.
That for me was one of the biggest red flags because up until that moment, he would sometimes talk about how he's not a doomsday cult leader. He's not saying suicide is good. He would kind of like shit talk stuff like the branch Davidians who had the shootout in Waco, Texas. He didn't give them as an example, but he would say there are cult leaders who force their disciples to commit suicide, but suicide is like a conscious death. You can't reincarnate until the Janma passes. Like, he was always anti-suicide. But in that one discourse, he said, if you drop your body consciously in praise of Sadashiva, you won't die. It's not suicide. You'll just automatically pop up in a new form in Kailasa. So what exactly is going to happen when people fly to this place called Kailasa? It could be a private island he owns. It could be a parcel of land that he's procured from some criminals in South America. Whatever it is, look at the history that's happened when a cult relocates to South America. When Jonestown happened, Jim Jones told all of his disciples, we're not able to live the lifestyle of our choosing connected with our God in the rest of the world, like in the world. We have to go somewhere where we make our laws, where we grow our own food, where we're off the grid. If you listen to what Nithyananda says about Kailasa, and you listen to the sales pitch Jim Jones gave for Jonestown before everyone up and moved there, it's identical. And when he has already told people, if you kill yourself for Shiva, it's not really a suicide, you just pop up in a new birth in Kailash, he is preparing people already. He's planting the seeds to tell them, killing yourself for him is not a suicide, it's a rebirth. And that is very, very frightening, because one report that I heard from a friend who very recently got out is that there was a situation in Ecuador where there was a power outage, and it was just a typical power outage. But Nitti got so scared, he started having a panic attack. He was shaking. He was saying, they're coming after me. They're coming after me. He didn't say who they are, but we can guess, like the police or Interpol or a human trafficking organization to free his disciples. But instead of being concerned for the people around him, he made them form a human barricade around him, form a circle around him.
And so this is Shiva.
Yeah, this is the man who claims Shiva, and he's so freaking scared of the light going Shiva. Right. So people who dedicated their entire life to serving him, he sees them as a human shield.
But his third eye isn't awakened. He can't tell that the power outage is just a typical power outage. He can't see with his third eye that there's no one there.
Right. Why would you be afraid of police coming after you if you're not a criminal?